Welcome to the ISE Content Studio here at ISE 2023 in Barcelona. And today's segment is Daily Daves. Dave, welcome. Dave Haynes from
Thank
69.
You. We made it.
We made it, the last day.
Yes.
That's cool, that's cool.
My knees are gone, but my brain sort of still works.
That's good, that's good. You had your mixer yesterday, I think was quite successful, right?
Yes, a lot of people, a lot of chit-chat. It was a great evening and very well received.
I think networking is one of the most important things why people come to a show, right?
It is. I think it's so important and it's so overlooked that when, particularly people who've been in the industry for a long time, we bump into each other in the corridors and we, of course, start asking each other, what'd you see? Did you see anything new? And say, well, not really. And we get so jaded, but I always try to remind myself that the value of this conference, even if you spend all your time looking at this technology and know a lot about it anyways and don't get impressed by these little incremental improvements, most people who are coming to the show have never seen this stuff and they're wowed by it, and you got to respect that. But those people who have been around, it's wonderful and effective and efficient for them to come to a show like this and see their business partners, see people who they had contacts with in the past, and you just, as you were saying prior to us starting this, that you just can't do that on a Zoom call or a Teams call or something like that. So I think networking is incredibly important, and it's reflected in all the parties you see. Those aren't just for drinking. It's because
just for business.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a way you're going to see a whole bunch of people, and I always call my mixers kind of a target-rich environment for digital signage.
Yeah, for me, really, most important are the surprising visits, something which you haven't planned, where you really, you go along, somewhere and you meet somebody who said, oh yeah, we want to talk for ages. I think that's what's really so fascinating about trade shows and conferences.
Yeah, I get a lot of people who walk up to me and want to introduce themselves, not because I'm something special, but...
You are North America, you are.
Well, they just say, we appreciate what you're doing. It's hard to get unfiltered filtered information that just tells it like it is versus just, a lot of publications are just press release mills. They're just taking what the PR people say and putting their byline on top of it, and there you go. And so if you could produce content that actually says, nah, this isn't all that new, or this is more interesting than maybe you think it is based on what they're telling you.
Dave, sorry to interrupt, but Dave, I think it's a very important point, talking about content and what you publish or what we publish every day. And we get hundreds, and both of us, we get hundreds of press releases every day.
Oh yeah.
And for our work is really to look, what's relevant, and also to put it in relation, right? Because that's what really sets journalistic work apart from just publishing something. It's really to look, what does it really mean, and taking out all these special things, greatest on earth or what, and really focusing on and what does it mean? Are there similar products, or is it really as fancy as they always say, right?
Yeah, and I think also kind of looking around the corners for what's coming. Both of us, or all of us, started writing probably 5-6 years ago about LED and about things like visualized data and the importance of APIs and things like that, long before the companies started to make that kind of their headline marketing pitch. Yeah. Because you can see this stuff coming, and I can see what's coming here with, particularly with LED. But also with software and what we were talking about earlier with this whole idea of, I keep wanting to say compostable, but but this kind of a different approach to software where things plug in.
Yeah. And what I really like about shows like this is from time to time you find something new. It's really, from the hundreds of press releases we're getting every day, still you find booth here, or you bump into somebody and you actually find also something new, even though we've been around this industry for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
You don't do that, or you don't find that by just surfing the internet or looking around. But on a show like this, you walk the floor and like, oh, this looks interesting.
And most of the time, like the hidden gems are really, some smaller companies or some companies, you don't interact with on a daily basis.
Yep.
So especially, some of the Chinese producers who never usually, give us a press release or so. It's like going to BOE, to AOR, so you see things like, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And you can really see, often in some whisper rooms, but you can really see, what's going to be, what's coming to the market in 2, 3, 4 years or so.
Yeah, and I end up chatting with a lot of people, and if they're familiar with 16.9, they ask, well, why don't you write about us more? Did you know we did this project? And I'll say, I'm happy to write about your project, but you have to tell me about it. I find things on LinkedIn and so on, and new companies, I tell them, you don't need a PR agency. You just need my email address and your email addresses, and send us photos, send us the specs of what's going on, why you did it, what the results were, and all that. There's no magic to this, but if you want to raise your profile, you've got to leverage guys like us who are actually going to tell you or tell their readers, their audience, what's really important about this and why this is different versus all of this stuff out there.
So this is kind of a wrap-up of the show for us as well. So what were your impressions, or what kind of vibe or mood do you take away from this?
Well, certainly your business index talks about optimism. Optimism. I certainly get that sense that it's there. I think the challenge with this show is just its sheer scale, and I tend to go to a show without any real plan other than I'm going to go to this particular hall. But I find, like today, I'm going to frantically run around to some of the other halls because not all of my digital signage ecosystem is in here, and they're not even in some the other kind of secondary hall. They're all over the darn place. I walked around yesterday, and there's those guys. There's AppSpace. There's Uniguest. You find them, and then there's the small little companies on the corridor that I would also like to have a chat with. So, if you're a buyer, you probably have a plan. But if you're kind of a wanderer, so to speak, and you're doing reconnaissance and you want to stumble across interesting things, I'm starting to think for the scale of the show, you still need to have a plan.
I think so, yeah, absolutely. But that's also one of the reasons why the show goes for 4 days,
Yeah.
because you really need time to discover and explore the show. I think it's very, very important.
Yeah, weirdly, 4 days isn't enough for me. I used to think when I started coming to ISE, really? You need all that time, but you do, or at least I do.
So how do you like Barcelona? I mean, the show floor and everything, there's the Fira and everything. You like it, or?
I love it. It's challenging. This is no slam on the Spanish people, but everybody told me, well, when you go to Barcelona, everybody speaks English. That's not really true, and it's definitely not true when it comes to the taxi drivers. And the Uber doesn't really work here, and you really have to kind of prepare yourself when you hop into a cab and have your map ready, your address and everything else, and kind of pass it over to them. But the city itself is amazing. The subway system is pretty efficient to get you over here. So all those people in the endless lines to get in a taxi, you can get in a subway and go all over the place pretty quickly. Wouldn't want to do that with luggage, but
it's for free. It's for free because every ISE visitor gets a free pass for the metro, 4-day pass.
I found that out after I bought mine. But I'll live.
Good. Stefan, anything else?
The big surprise, or probably not surprise, but was that the overall mood and the sentiment is really, really positive over here. Everybody you're talking to runs around with really energized and with smiling faces, and you can kind of feel this energy, and that's also a reason to be here, because you can't get that through talking to individual people via Zoom, but really the energy. And I sometimes think it's great because it's a fantastic industry, it's a growing industry, it's an innovative industry, but then I think, well, but in the world out there, there are so many things happening. Is that really true, or is that really in line with what's happening in other places of the world?
I think the one other thing I would say is, and it's reflected in a lot of the booths, there's a lot more respect for creative and content. Trade shows we've gone to in the past is just find some files and slap them on these screens. Now they're really, really thinking out their visual presence and what it looks like, because it's just so important if you want to inspire potential customers and partners.
Dave, that's a fantastic end, because engaging experiences is our lead topic of 2023, and we'll have much, much more at DSE Europe in July, and hopefully we'll be back with Dave Staley there, huh?
I'm looking forward to coming over to Munich.
Fantastic, fantastic. So this was our last segment, Dave Staley here live from ISE 2023. Thanks to Dave Haynes, 69, was great having you here as a guest, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Absolutely.